Today's date is August 14th, 2021, Saturday, August 14th, 2021. Coming to you live from Iquitos, Peru for the second time. It's Randy Reed, your host of the Aquarius Podcast, and none other than Master Breeder, Master Chef, Bridgestone Star, not Michelin Star, but Bridgestone Star Chef. That'd probably still be a good rating. Dean Tweeddale.
Yeah, I'm here. We're alive, off the boat.
Post-trip. So
Post-trip.
this is going to be a post-trip Randy Dean rap session recap of our second time together, your third time, my second time, collecting on the Amazon River, on the wonderful MF Esperanza, La Bota.
With MT Amazon Exhibitions.
MT Amazon Expeditions. We just took up a whole minute doing that. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Before we do that, Dean, we need to throw out a sponsorship. Who is sponsoring this episode of the podcast?
Aquarium Co-op. None other than Aquarium
None
Co-op.
other than the aquariumcoop.com. Dean, would you like to promote a product or a service or a thing that we do? Or is it we or they? I guess, I don't know.
I don't know, but
sometimes when I do the sponsorship, I kind of make it sound like I'm not affiliated, but I obviously clearly am. True. So what is something that Aquarium Co-op does?
So let's just talk about we sponsored this trip with. This is really good. So we have a fish room on the boat where we keep the fish that we kept. We brought down airline tubing.
Yeah, it's not just this trip. It's like for as long as those things are good. But
It'll be good for a while. Yeah.
Continue. And I made this order in the system.
You did?
Yes.
Because I made you make it. Yes.
Yes, against my will.
You just made it better. So we brought airline tubing, sponge filters.
Aquarium Co-op, coarse sponge filters, of course.
All of the products that we sent were Aquarium Co-op products.
Yes,
Except
USB.
For, I believe the air stones.
USB Nano. No, this never clogs. That's our.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our.
Yep.
We sell it.
So basically, we had the whole fish room is sponsored by Aquarium Co-op on the boat, and it worked fantastically. I don't think we lost but a few fish. You always lose a few fish on the boat. I mean, it's just whether we hurt them netting them. Or they just crashed, whatever. There's always a few fish that get lost. But I thought this worked very successfully.
Yeah. Well, and I think the idea is, like with anything with Aquarius, the more simple, reliable, dependable you can make a thing, the more successful you'll be. And that translates from a fish store to a fish room to a mobile fish room on a boat.
And even in your home tanks.
Yeah, 100%.
To be honest,
yeah.
I mean, so we're very pleased with that. It came out, worked really well. We also sponsored them with shirts, Aquarium Co-op shirts, and we had a great time.
We had a blast. A blast. So there you go, folks. If you like the cut of Gene. I'm still wobbly from the boat.
We're still moving.
Oh my goodness! And this is exactly how it was last time. We tried to do a recap episode.
And truthfully, you still feel like you're moving something?
Yes. I'm in a reclining chair, so I'm kind of wobbling.
And it's going side to side.
But it's also going side to side.
Yeah.
This chair does not physically move side to side.
And I'm in a nice, comfy bed. It's just so you guys get the whole total picture.
You are. Yep.
Last time we did this, we did it from the bed.
You should post a picture of this, actually.
If I could do a selfie, I would, but I can't do a selfie.
There you go. So you want me to do the selfie?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is making for fantastic podcast listening. Although, it could be kind of cool, though, like if somebody's actually listening to this as we're rambling, talking about taking the selfie, and then they look and see on your page or my...
You know what?
Here we go. Let
me
turn around.
You know what else?
How many listeners
You could
am I
actually
now
even
lost?
show me how to tag Aquarium on the boat.
Let's see. Did that turn out?
Did that flash?
Kind of.
I usually have my flash off.
Oh yeah, there's some good side chin there. All right.
Nice. Good.
And we got money in the background too. I had to give Dean money for fish, which we can talk about in a little bit too.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, if you like the cut of Dean's jib, get jib. I don't even know the saying now. I can't even think. Jib. I've got like Amazon River water brain.
I don't think that came out right.
The cut of your
shirt.
Isn't it the cut of jib?
I don't know.
The cut of Dean's thing that he does well, right? If you like this podcast, if you like Aquarium Co-op, go to www.aquariumcoop.com. Pick yourself up some USB Nano air pumps, some coarse sponge filters that don't float for 17 days. They actually will sink, and that's huge benefit in my opinion. Get yourself some Zis Air Stones. And yeah, pick up all the other goodies.
Oh, you know what else we brought that I still think is really cool and a lot of people find it underrated? The new Aquarium Co-op specimen containers.
Oh.
They are awesome. We were even taking some pictures in them because
they're pretty good. They're pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
Pretty strong.
They're flexible, strong. They're very similar to others that are on the market, but they have the Aquarium Co-op logo
They
on
are
top.
embossed. They are embossed with the a raised embossing, which I think is actually counter to... No, embossing can be raised. Is inherently raised.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, people are like, wow, Randy is just not on his game today. Not that I really am ever, but especially not today.
And I did make everyone carry one of those down here in their suitcase.
Yes, you did, and not a single one of them broke.
None of them broke.
So
and they were all put to use. So
yeah. All right, so there we go. There's the intro sponsorship. Dean, where do we start? Do we talk collecting? Do we talk anything about the boat? Should we start with today's date of going to the wholesalers? Where do you want to take this thing?
Well, it all starts with a long, long plane trip.
It was a long plane trip.
And you have to just be kind of mentally prepared for that, because it's 22 hours.
Well, let's set the stage. So from the Pacific Northwest,
right,
United States, we're pretty north up there, right? I mean, obviously Alaska a little bit farther north than us, but we're pretty up there, right? Yep. In Iquitos, I don't know if you know this, but it's below the equator, right? It's the other side of the equator for us. So our flight, Seattle to Houston, Texas to Lima, Peru, back up northeast.
Yes, that's correct.
To Iquitos. So this is not a direct flight. It's not a one connecting flight. It's a couple flights mixed in there, and we have to actually come out of the secured portion of the Lima airport, get our luggage, our checked luggage, and actually have to have it go through a customs process and then re-enter the airport going through security after rechecking our luggage. So it's not the easiest thing. Like, I know when people go collecting in like Lake Tanganyika, like Pam Chin, for example, like that is like 13 flights.
Yes.
And like a truck ride for 9 hours on a bumpy road. Like those are, yes, I get that. But this is still also not like, I'm gonna just take that one direct flight. So
we get here. It's about noon when we get here. We're starved. We eat.
What did we eat?
I don't remember.
Oh, it was the place with the pool in the center of it.
That's right.
It was the Fusion.
Randy and Corey went swimming at lunchtime.
We put our legs in. We didn't go quite swimming, but
But we did go swimming that afternoon.
We did go swimming. Yes, our hotel does have a nice pool.
That was super, super relaxing.
Dean and I got our Olympics on, and did many laps.
So then we're in Iquitos, and we chose to be an extra day here before we went out on the boat, and I think that just gave you time to wind down from the trip, so to speak, get all your stuff organized, kind of.
Yep.
We got to tour the local market and walk around town a bit.
The Balian Market, yeah.
And then we headed for the boat the next morning after breakfast. How was that?
And then we're on the boat.
How did you feel about heading for the boat the second time?
It was kind of surreal in that I think the most surreal two elements. One, seeing the crew.
That was the best part, I thought.
Seeing Segundo, seeing Juan Luis, seeing Leader, and actually the Segundo, I think it was Segundo, Juan Luis, and the new cook, Charlie. The three of them were waiting for us, like at the very top of the road where it starts to descend towards the boat.
Yes.
They were waiting right there. And so as we're driving by them in the bus, it's like,
cool.
Mi amigos!
And they ran by the bus on the way
And they
down.
were super excited to see us. Like we made such a good relationship with them last time. And those are truly like, I feel like I can say I have friends in Peru. Like those guys.
I feel like we made it even better this time.
It was awesome, yeah. So seeing those guys again, giving them hugs and high fives and, using what very limited Spanish I have to try and communicate with them. Which, shout out to Duolingo, which, was a great kind of, between trip resource to help build up my Spanish more than what it was, and great app. So if anybody's looking for something, it's got a cute little owl app icon. I would recommend Duolingo. And then seeing the Esperanza.
Yeah.
Seeing the boat on the water, because we have to take the Maikai, the little kind of we'll call it the speedboat for lack of a better word, to the Maikai, but you're kind of on the shore and you just see that tall, narrow boat that was home for us 2 years ago, and it's going to be home for us again.
Right.
And I think it's really surreal because of I don't even want to utter the name COVID in this interview. Everybody says, oh, because of COVID. Everybody talks about COVID in their podcast, but nonetheless, it almost felt like this was never going to happen again.
Yeah, we kind of felt that way.
Like we knew it was going to, but you kind of get this feeling like, oh man, is it ever gonna?
Is it ever going to?
Is it ever gonna?
Are we really going to do this? Yeah.
And it was a moment of both seeing our Peruvian friends and then seeing the boat. It's like, crap, man, we're going. We're actually here.
Yeah.
We're here.
And I think that's when you feel like you're here. Once you get to the boat, you're like, okay, I'm going collecting.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, they make it so nice for us. The crew, I will say the crew is well paid compared to a job in Iquitos. Mm-hmm. We take care of them very well also.
We specifically asked that question, and they did confirm that, that the crew relative to the other folks in Iquitos, they do well.
They do well.
Yeah.
And I think between us and the crew, there's fun.
Oh, everything is fun.
There's fun. I take the cook. It's kind of my tradition to take the cook a beer after dinner every night. Now, I don't drink beer. You might have a few solas once in a while.
Nah, not even that. But no, nonetheless.
But the cook might like a beer. He's been in a relatively small, hot kitchen, making us food all day, and it's kind of my tradition to take him a beer.
I want to stop you right there. He's a Peruvian cook from Iquitos.
Yes. Making
food for Western Europeans, for Americans. What kind of pressure do you think
on a boat
as a cook for you, as a cook, with you, as a chef, it's one thing to make something for your friend that is used to the same cuisine types, that you were already accustomed to eating and making, but that's got to be another level for him. I actually didn't think about.
Well, and at the same time, he wants to bring in the Peru influence, right? So, down here, there's not a lot of beef. There's a little bit of chicken. There's a little bit of pork. There's river rat. There's fish.
A lot of fish.
Tons of fish. Now, from our past experience, we knew which fish we really liked.
Yes.
And boom, they're on it. Mm-hmm. They're on it.
Don't say
it's the tiger shovel nose.
Tiger shovel nose.
What's the Peruvian word for that?
Don't say
Why don't I say it?
Don't say
Oh, don't say it?
Don't say
I got it.
Oh, don't say
so,
this guy.
So we just had to mention that, and we're having it the next night for dinner.
Yeah. Now, to clarify, there are two incredibly similar looking species of tiger shovel nose.
Very much.
Doncella is the slightly smaller version, different markings, I believe. And if I was really, really good at being a podcast host, I would have like that little Amazon basin guide, and I'd be able to look these up.
Yeah.
But it's the one that has more vertical, wavy tiger pattern,
right,
where the true tiger shovel nose that they don't call Doncella is the like larger, more vertical barring.
More vertical
I believe.
Yeah.
And the head structure is different on both of them as well. But from afar, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the same fish. But it is actually a different fish.
So he's in that kitchen, and he's got to be thinking, okay, are these guys going to eat what I'm making? And he's probably, the first couple of days, he's probably freaking out about it. Because, he can cook all sorts of Peruvian food. But you're right, we're Westerners coming down. Are they picky eaters? Are they good eaters? We ate good.
Yeah.
I will say.
Very good. Yep.
And, we had one person that had a special diet. They just make it every time. So you don't have to worry about the food. Look at my legs. Not very many bugs either, right?
They look tan.
No, I was referring to all those little dots on them.
For the audience, Dean's legs, as well as mine, are covered in bug bites.
Not that bad.
They're pretty bad.
No.
Our legs are pretty bad. My arms are pretty bad.
I've seen them worse. But, these are things you just have to be, I think, I would keep saying mentally prepared for. If you're mentally prepared for it, you're going to be fine. Being physically prepared for it, that's where the mud comes in. And you know, I've been to the other what I consider the other Peruvian trip, Puerto Maldonado, where there's not as much mud. So I can relate the two together. The Amazon trip does have a lot more mud that you're trekking through. But you know, when you put that net in through the leaf litter the first time, you pull it up, and there's some cool little pencil fish or a pisto or catfish or cory, you're like, this is very cool. Mm-hmm. It's very cool.
Yeah, getting back in the water too.
Yeah.
It's like our first time. Like, all right, here we are. We're at our first collecting site. Which what was our first collecting site? Was it was it seining or was it dipnetting? Seining, okay.
Seine and then dipnet later that day. So, and sometimes it's both. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes working the seine kind of brings everybody together.
Yeah.
Dipnetting, you get kind of more spread out. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times dipnetting is easier to do in a pair. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times one of you gets stuck in a place. And so
dipnetting tends to be pretty brutal, though.
Yes.
Because I mean,
look at my head.
Yeah, you're going. You know, you're going through the thick of it. You're kind of walking through the forest to get to you know, a stream or something. You know, that's obviously at some point feeding the Amazon, unless it's totally dry and cut off, in which case the fish are then caught and are absolutely going to die at some point. Yeah. But yeah, that ends up being pretty brutal, because then like that's where you start getting more palms, the spiky palms, bugs. And, yeah, it just ends up being it ends up being quite the experience.
So on this particular trip, I can remember one dipnetting experience that, while it wasn't the most awesome thing, it was very cool, I thought. And I wonder if you have that same memory. Or, okay, it was the forest of army ants.
I missed that one.
You missed that.
Yeah.
So,
because we can also talk about getting sick while we're down here.
You can get sick. But so we're walking to a location off of a tributary to the Amazon. We had gone up the tributary probably about a mile in the boat, parked, ate lunch, and then it's hard to say, is that a stream coming into the tributary? It's only 3 feet wide. It's small, right?
I mean, I think it's all time relative, because you know, maybe 3 months prior,
it was a river coming.
It was much more, yeah. It was much more stronger of a stream, or small river, if you will.
So we're trekking through the woods, literally just, you know, looking for a location to get down to this stream where we felt that we could collect fish, because a lot of it, some of it's inaccessible. I mean, literally inaccessible. Yeah. And as we're trekking through, we all of a sudden come across army ants. For about the next, let's say, 50 yards, they were so bloody thick, if you stopped, they're walking up your legs.
Oh my goodness. Did you get footage of that?
I got as best a footage as I could.
Oh my
because
goodness.
it's also under the canopy, so it's a little darker in there. We didn't have any lights, of course, but it was like, I mean, it was millions and millions and millions of them. And our trusty leader, Devin, finally said, okay, guys, let's walk up a little ways. We'll get out of them. And sure enough, you walk up maybe 20, 30 feet, no army ants. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I remember stopping one time to try to film them, and I'm looking at my legs, and they're already up to my knees. Mm-hmm. And it's not just one, it's hundreds. And then you got to brush them off and keep going.
Oh my goodness.
So that was an experience.
Yeah,
I thought that was, I thought it was cool, even though it could potentially be dangerous, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, if your system doesn't respond well to you know, the ant bites, and you get overwhelmed by millions of ants biting you.
I don't think I had any bites from them, but or maybe one or two, I don't know. But you know, can't be anything worse than any of the other bites that we got.
I at least got to see leafcutter ants again, so that was kind of
Those
cool.
were cool too.
I mean,
yeah. So you know, you see things that aren't fish related also. And then on top of it, we finally get to this little creek, and we find some really cool little fish. We'll say, and this might be I mean, a lot of us post to Instagram. Corey does YouTube posts. Everything that we collect doesn't necessarily come home with us.
The overwhelming majority of what we collect doesn't come home with us.
We pick and choose that, but a lot of times we'll bring stuff back and photograph it and document where they collected it.
Yeah, very, very minimal too compared to what we.
We don't overtake anything.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And I mean,
It's just usually the one specimen that we'll take back to photo.
Yeah, only one.
It could be 20 of a river hatch. Like we could have in one seine 20 river hatchets.
Right.
If we haven't seen a river hatchet yet, then we will take one specimen
and photograph it.
Yeah, photograph it and then put it back.
And then it goes back.
Yeah.
Right. So from that point of view, I think we're very conscientious of what we're doing, so that we're not. I guess the best word is destroying nature too bad.
Yeah. I mean, we did see examples, though, of the local fishermen and their practices.
Yes.
And what they do, and on the scale of how many of them there are.
Yes.
And this is, again, like this. I'm not casting any judgment here. They are doing what they need to do to make a living.
To make a living.
Put food on their family's table.
For their families.
Their bycatches or what they catch is, what we do is infinitesimal.
Right.
Compared to that.
Right.
Like four or five dudes on the Esperanza for 1 week out of the year is nothing compared to the day-to-day fishing practices.
And I also think, of the numbers of fish
and the number of fish that are even out there that are not getting caught is astronomical.
I mean, we could pull the seine to one beach, which would have taken maybe 10 to 20 minutes, let's say, right? And we could end up in that seine with 20 different species of fish, all coexisting with each other, and more than one of every one of them. It's incredible, the amount of fish. I often wonder...
And when we seine the beach, we're talking about like we're seining 0.5% of a beach.
Not even
the accessible...
I'd say less than 0.5%.
The accessible part of a beach, we are seining less than like 0.5% of the beach. So this is nothing.
It's minuscule compared to what's here. And then a lot of we know a lot of those little streams are just going to dry up. Those fish are going to die.
I took Corey actually to one of the spots where you guys were seining and you were getting some Corys. I took him over to where there were some dried pools. And sure enough, you move a couple leaves and there's already dead tetras on top.
Yeah.
And then underneath the leaves, you see movement and it's a couple wolffish. It's a couple porthole cats that are just burrowing down, trying to get into water and stay in water.
Right.
And guess what? Like the water only gets lower, right? There's no tidal fluctuation. The water's not coming back to save these guys.
No.
And it's about a day or two until all of that water is dried up.
Right.
And some egrets come and have a lunch.
Yeah, so now that we've talked about all the morbid stuff, let's talk about some of the fun.
Well, it's fascinating, and it's a part of nature, and it's learning, it's science, it's being out there, and being in the field, especially as an aquarist, right? Like you are. This is like high school biology just taken to the absolute max. Like you're jumping into the textbook, right? You're jumping, like you're going from your fish store where you're seeing this little fish in the tank. So take an apistogramma, for example, right? You see an apistogramma in a 20 high at Aquarium Co-op with a coconut shell in beautiful, pristine water with some, crushed coral substrate or like whatever it is, right? And you're like, oh man, that's a great home for an apistogramma. When you actually go to the Amazon and you see where apistogrammas live, it's like somebody took a million hefty bags full of leaf litter from the fall and threw it in the smallest creek imaginable, let it all soak up where there's only about an inch of water flowing on top. That's where apistogrammas live.
Right.
That's one of the places where apistogrammas live. So when you dip your dip net in there and you get nothing but leaves in there, guess what? You're also getting rivulus, you're getting apistogrammas,
tetras.
You're getting a 9-inch wolffish.
Right.
That's in that leaf litter. So, it takes away this this I don't want to say romanticism, but it takes away this idea of where we think fish come from. And it says, no, this is actually where they come from.
Right. This is where they come from.
And then you take that And when you're down here, you just you see the well, you don't even see the enormity, but you start to feel and try to get a sense of the enormity of the Amazon River Basin.
Yeah, it's
like where we are, like outside of Iquitos, it's enormous.
I've never seen something so big.
And this trip, we actually didn't even. I don't even think we motored as far as we did
No,
2
we
years
didn't.
ago.
We didn't.
We zoomed back and forth past Iquitos a couple times.
Yep.
Like as the crow flies, we did not really go that far. We didn't even scratch the surface of the Amazon River.
In fact, remember at dinner I was asking if we wanted to go.
Now I say that, and it's still an amazing trip. Continue, Dean.
Yeah, I was going to say I was talking to them at dinner, and asked if we wanted to go further away, and he's like, "Well, it could be 2 weeks, 14 days, upriver, and might happen someday."
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you think about it, we're 2,300 miles from the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. And I don't know how much further it goes up, but I'm going to guess maybe another 1,000 miles. Don't really know for sure. Someone can Google that probably and find out. But the tributaries go way up all the way into the Andes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of this little pinpoint in the middle of all that, if you think about it.
You can't even see the pinpoint.
You can't.
You can't even see
You can't.
the scope of our footprint in this Amazon and like what we're touching is like not even a pinprick.
It's not even a raindrop in a thunderstorm, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And I really as you and I talk about it right now in this moment, is kind of the first time that I am kind of thinking about it more on this scale, and it is even more like, oh my God, like this thing is a beast. How much more undiscovered stuff is out there?
I bet there's.
How much more stuff is out there beyond the range of the boats that of the fishermen that actually catch the ornamental fish?
Right.
What's beyond their range, right?
I bet there's.
That's a good question.
I bet there's hundreds of undiscovered species.
What is the farthest that the collectors for the exporters here in Iquitos that they actually go? Will they ever do multi-day trips, or are they just kind of like, we go like 3 hours out and that's about good enough?
Well, okay, so we know that the Pleco people will do multi-day trips.
Okay.
Okay, we know that. But Plecos will survive that.
Yeah.
Will Apistos survive that? We don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, we zigged and zagged for almost 2 days looking for puffers.
We can't spoil. We're not going to spoil anything about puffers.
And, it was like...
at least people know they are hard to find. They are hard to find.
It was insane. I mean, we're waist deep in mud. We're on sandy beaches. Mm-hmm. What can I say? We zigged and zagged a lot for that. We also did the same for neon tetras. We never found one. Yet we know there's billions of them here.
Yeah.
It's just like, what can you say? There's so much here.
And we did have the kind of the prioritization of,
a little bit.
Well, like we know what species are here, right? Yeah. What do we want to collect, right? Like we didn't want to go after wolffish, right? So we're not targeting these kinds of fish, but it's Jurapari, it's but the Biotodoma cupido. Did we know we want those, or was that one on the fly? Okay, on the fly, Corey's like, oh yeah, those are awesome. Yeah, let's get those.
The couple varieties of Corey's we found, one of them I did want from a previous trip. And
did you see them on that beach schooling? How you kind of have like this eddy. You kind of had this little sandbar,
the little ripples
that created the little pool, right? And you had that every 20 feet,
right?
And right where I hope eddy's the right term, but right where the eddy was and the pool formed, there was a little bit more calm water. And this is only about a foot out there, right? And maybe like 9 inches deep of water. You would just have a school of 200-300 of corridors.
Right.
And that was one of the coolest things I think I saw on the trip.
And
that would happen every eddy.
Every eddy,
there was a different little school or a different little group of corridors. It was amazing.
And when you're talking about a school of 200 or 300, I bet it's more like, could be up to 1,000.
Oh, my counting's terrible.
Easily,
probably. Yeah. I always underestimate when people are like, oh, there's 1,000 fish there. I'm like, really?
Yeah, really? It doesn't look like 1,000 to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way, but from past experience, I know that
for sure
they catch, lots of them. But I will say, if you guys don't watch the co-op channel, you should. But we tried to get underwater footage. Why can't we get good underwater footage? Because the water is so turbulent. Not turbulent in terms of like, that's not the right word, is it?
Is it turbidity?
Turbidity.
Yeah.
That's the right word.
A lot of sediment.
A lot of sediment floating around the water. We could not see more than 6 inches in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
just like my lake back home. Same thing. Put your hand in the water. And
you don't see it.
Yeah.
So don't expect that, but expect lots of other cool stuff. We did have one little storm.
We did, yeah. Yeah, we motored through that thing. That was.
What about the night of lightning?
I feel like I was sick that night.
Oh, you were. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So we were getting. I think.
And sick. Just to clarify, sick is like just normal travelers. Kind of, your gut biome is not used to the area that you're traveling in. And I mean, Corey's talked about this quite a bit, and he's been very candid. On his experiences with it in Peru. You get a little traveler's diarrhea every once in a while, and you kind of get, you get bed stricken, and so for me, I was able to collect Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday started to come down, feel a little
Wednesday
queasy.
afternoon.
I still collected all day Wednesday.
That's right.
And then Thursday was just my lights out day.
Yeah.
Thursday was just me in my bed and occasionally my Kindle.
Yep.
And just that was it. Pop my antibacterial or my antibiotic, and now I'm feeling much better on Saturday. So.
And usually you can, if you feel it coming, you can usually make it so it only lasts a day.
Yeah.
And I think everyone on the trip had it for a day at some point.
Yeah, that's kind of par for the course.
It's just how it normally is. Yeah. So.
And I was able to collect Friday. So.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I think I did miss that the lightning storm though. That was just, I think that was like
it was
Wednesday
like,
night.
I think they called it heat lightning, so it kind of comes up.
Oh.
But it's not like, the shatters. It's like.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool. It lit the whole sky.
Dang. All right.
And no thunder.
Missed that.
It was too far away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I got to do a lot of birding though.
You did.
I have too many photos now to go through, and
you're gonna have to be editing those for a month.
Yeah, I mean, luckily though, most of it is just for me for identification's sake. So they're not like, I'm by no means a National Geographic, Cornell photographer or anything for birding or ornithology. But I think I might have got a couple cool shots of a flock.
Yes.
Flock of like 25, 30 of the white-winged parakeets or something. And
those were cool.
I mean,
they're all cool.
How awesome is that? They're just
all cool.
Squawking, flying around. So I think I got a good shot of them with some decent lighting.
Yeah. I will say we did see one monkey.
Back here in town?
Yeah.
We did see the one monkey. Yeah. That's
we did catch a turtle, which we is going to one of the crew members' personal ponds. Thought that was cool. First trip down here, we had caught a mata turtle. Or mata.
Oh, your first trip
my
down
very
here.
first trip
Okay.
down. And that we had to release. I think it's protected even down here. But we got, we got to have it for a day or so.
I think sometimes is that the one that sometimes shows up in the market when it's not supposed to?
Yes. Yeah. It's got to have papers, I think. What else would people want to know about the trip?
What else would people want to know about the trip, Dean? What are you bringing home, Dean?
So let's see if I can remember everything.
I know at least Festivums.
Okay. Why am I bringing home Festivums?
I have no idea.
So I've 3 trips to the river.
Well, they're a cool fish. Beyond
cool.
that, I have no idea. Continue.
So my first trip down, my number one fish to bring back was discus. I brought them back, and 2 years later, so of those discus, I only ended up with 5. I started with 7. Wholesaler only shipped 5. And I ended up with a pair, and I have F1s that are now spawning at home. I'm the type of person that if I get fish, I want to breed them. That's just kind of my nature. So.
Master Breeder Dean wants to breed fish.
So
Who'd have thought?
I had seen Festivums the first time, and thought, well, maybe I should take them. Didn't take them. Next trip down with Corey, Aquarium Coop, Corey, and Randy.
And your boy, come on.
And my
come
boy.
on, don't forget.
Whom I'm bunking with this time, but we do have separate beds, thankfully.
No, we don't. We have one giant queen bed.
No,
What
we
are
have
you talking
separate
about?
beds. Don't even
We have
go
an
there.
Aquitos queen. What are you talking about?
So we
We're
caught
sleeping head to toe.
we caught Festivums again. You're so
On
bad.
a shoestring budget, man. Come on. We can't spring for 2 queen beds.
And I couldn't bring myself to take them. And if you think of, okay, what is a Festivum? It seems like it's a cross between an angel and a discus.
Mm-hmm.
Live in the same environment. Sometimes they live side by side. I couldn't take them.
If you don't know what a Festivum is right now, folks, and you're not driving, you may
Look it
pull up Google Images
and you'll find it.
and go. Go, Dean.
So this time down, I'm like, okay, what do I want to take back? Now, I'm going to preface that with, don't come down with an expectation, except to have fun. Because if you come down with the expectation that, okay, that's what I want to collect, you ain't going to get it. Mother Nature's going to say, no.
Can I draw a parallel?
Yes.
It's like sport fishing and thinking that what you catch will somehow monetarily make up for your expenses into the sport.
Right.
So say tuna or salmon are a good example.
Right.
I think I'm going to catch enough tuna and salmon to offset the cost of all the gear and all the things. Don't do it for that. Don't do it for that.
That is the worst reason to come down here,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Was that an okay parallel?
That was a good parallel,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So this time I'm like, the first day we caught Festivums, they're like, Dean, are you going to take these? I'm like, no. Second day we caught some. Dean, are you going to take these? No. Third day we caught some. Okay, I'm taking them. So that's kind of how it happened.
I would like to think that you and I talked about it, and I said, Dean, you should just take them home.
I know. And that's...
If every time you come down here, you think you want to take them and you never do, and we're now down here a third time.
There's a reason I should be taking them.
There's clearly is.
So
Because we're going to play this game next time.
I have not spawned Festivums before. And I've done the angels, I've done the discus, I've done the epistos. Long time ago, I've done some of the tetras, but tetras nowadays maybe aren't even worth spawning since they're so prolific in the hobby, unless you're just doing it for BAP points.
They're prolific, but they're not because of the supply chain disruption.
Only right now.
Yeah. Assuming things get better.
Things will get better. Things will get better, people.
Things will get
Trust
better.
me.
Things are better. If you're listening to this in the future and things have gotten better, then there you go.
You know they did. Yeah.
Things are better now.
So I'm bringing back Festivums. I'm bringing back...
Well, let me say, so the other cool thing about these Festivums is we found them at several locations, and it was often... Actually, we found them in both locations where we would seine a beach.
Yes.
And we would also dipnet.
Dipnet, right.
And there was one location that was kind of like this... God, I don't even know, like the proper river geographic term, but it's like just like an elbow of a river. Right. It's like the elbow of the stream that there's very slow water.
Right.
There was a ton of vegetation. Very like water hyscinth, but mixed in with like
This
horizontally
jungle
growing
grass.
bamboo.
Yeah.
It was like horizontal growing bamboo.
Yeah.
It was very, somebody who's probably knows what we're talking about. But nonetheless, like this just covering the surface of the water, of the very slow.
We're waist deep in the water.
I don't want to say stagnant, but it was warm. There wasn't a current.
If we would have gone all the way into the beach, we would have hit the stagnant.
And it was also like a mass collection point for bottles and styrofoam.
That's
so kind
true.
of one of the tragic realities of what you see down here.
Yep.
And so you're just basically taking your dipnet, your hashtag free plug Jonah's dipnet, the perfect dipnet.
Yeah, that is a good dip net.
So you take this bad boy and you go underneath, and I'm actually physically doing the motions right now.
I can't believe you're doing that.
You're going. I probably have malaria or something. I'm probably getting delirious. You take your dipnet underneath these plants, and in this slower moving water with all this vegetation and cover, every one of those pulls, we were getting tiny banded headstanders.
Yes.
We were getting those, and we were getting festivums.
Yes.
that were as small as like a penny.
Right, and
Baby
that's the size for shipping.
Baby Festivums. Now, when you say in a beach, we would get the normal size. Like I would say, a normal size is like a large silver dollar size.
Yes.
You know, like a large silver dollar coin. And that seemed to be kind of like the standard model. But here, though, I mean, we were just getting a ton of these small penny, dime, nickel, quarter-size Festivums,
Right.
and it was actually really cool.
Is that also where we got the smaller Leporinas?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
the banded
yeah,
head,
yeah, the
head standard.
banded,
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
yeah.
the Leporinas.
So yeah, that was a cool location. I mean, it was warm. I mean, we were, and it wasn't
It was a little muddy.
super muddy.
It wasn't
though.
super muddy.
It
but
was walkable.
It was about 6 inches of mud,
Yeah,
and then you hit some
yeah.
hard pack.
And you always wonder what's on my ankle down there.
For me, it's, am I going to step on that fallen, thorny palm
Oh.
that's been down there for about 3 years now, covered in mud, or however long it's
And
been?
the thorns are petrified, and they go in and they
the
don't come out.
thorns are still sharp.
Now, we did see the crew members, a couple of them got the thorns.
They did.
Because a lot of times they
Yep.
go out in their bare feet,
Yep.
and, you know, they basically have to stop,
Yeah.
pull them out, sometimes go to shore and
Do
pull
I
them
still
out.
have mine? Oh, sorry, hitting my microphone, guys. Right on my right foot, kind of below my big toe, I am almost positive it had to have been like a PIM load or something, but I definitely stepped on one, got stabbed, drew blood. That was awesome.
I got a catfish blade on the back of my left ankle.
Yes, you did. And that, you weren't even in the water.
I wasn't.
Oh my goodness.
That hurt.
That was pretty brutal. All right, Festivums. What else are you bringing home, Dean?
I'm bringing two different types of Corys.
Okay.
I don't know what the one type is, but it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
We'll identify it when we get home, probably. And
The
the other one is the CW123, the yellowfin Corys.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So there are people out there that have seen those before.
Mm-hmm.
They're interested in them. Hopefully, last time I brought them, I did not get them to spawn. Maybe it's a numbers thing. I don't know. It just didn't happen. Hoping to this time.
Well, we say it's an elegance type of Cory.
I think, yeah, that is in the elegans family, and the other is in the
Wouldn't they say like anti-personata or something?
something
like
like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool looking fish though.
Yeah.
There was something else I was bringing home.
What else are you bringing home?
I guess it'll just have to be a surprise.
I mean, it's nothing illegal.
Nothing illegal.
Yeah. Can you even remember? Can
You
you
know,
remember? Are you
it's-
drawing a blank, or do you want to keep it a secret?
It's been so long since we bagged the fish.
You're
That
getting some coral pencil fish, right?
I did. No, those we could not collect.
Yes.
So
Could not or did not?
we could not because it's too far up.
Ah, yeah.
And I was told that before the trip we could either go for pencil fish or we could go for these other fish that we were looking for. And
Nanostoma Morton Halleri?
yes.
Yeah. Nanostomus?
So
Nanostomus?
I knew that we could get them at the exporter.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be no point for us to drive just for those.
Yeah.
The boat, not drive, cruise, whatever you call it. What do you do on a
I
boat?
think it is drive.
Oh, speaking of driving the boat, Randy here drove the boat. For how long did you drive?
Juan Luis let me drive for
Quite a while?
pretty good time, yeah.
Nice.
I did not beach. I did not
You
beach
did not
the
beach and you-
Esperanza.
You did not hit a log?
I did not hit a log. I did not hit a fisherman's net. I
That's
did
all
not
good
hit
things.
another boat. And yeah, probably the most nerve-wracking is the number of fisherman nets that are out there.
There's
a lot.
bazillions of them.
There are a ton.
And a lot of them are marked by floating water bottles.
Floating water bottles, pieces of styrofoam, yeah, kind of anything that will float. They will tie to the net. And,
Sometimes just a thin stick in the water.
sticks in the water, yeah.
Yeah.
Driving the boat was sweet, though. That was pretty cool.
I knew you'd have fun doing that.
Yeah, listened to some Peruvian radio while I was up there in the
Yep.
in the cab.
In the cabin,
The cabin.
yep.
Is it the cabin? Is it the cockpit?
It is the cabin.
Is it the cabin?
Or the cockpit.
The
I think if
cockpit's
it's
an
I think if
aircraft.
it's a fast boat, it's a cockpit.
Ah, okay.
I think if it's the boat that we're on, it's a cabin. Because the cabin, there's also sleeping quarters behind.
True,
Because
true.
the captain never leaves the cabin at night. He's ready to go all time.
There's probably a nautical sailor like listening to this screaming like, "It's not called a cabin,
probably
you
is.
buffoons."
I'm calling it the cabin.
Yeah.
It's the cabin.
So you got red pencilfish, coral pencilfish. Mm-hmm. Is that it? Does that round out the list for you?
I think so.
Okay. So for me,
Yeah.
let's play the Randy. What's Randy bringing
Oh,
home?
what's
game?
Randy bringing?
Randy's bringing home two types of Cory.
Okay.
Are we actually? Am I getting three? Am I getting some of those?
I'll probably give you some of the other ones. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
because we're going to ship them all.
Or you might have to hold them all since I'm getting a second type of Cory now.
We'll see.
Okay, so Corydora, we believe it to be Agassizi?
Agassizi.
Yeah, so some.
It's at least in that family.
At least in that family, and what's special about these is one, we collected them, so that adds a little bit to it. But on top of that, the chonky size,
big size.
They've got a nice chonky size to them, and they have an amazing green sheen to them.
Yes, and I'm certain on those there's males and females.
There's definitely some
fat ones.
There's definitely some fat ones. There's definitely some smaller ones.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we do have a nice mix of male females. So bringing home a group of 20-ish of those. I think for me, and then if I get some of the CW,
whatever they are,
whatever those are,
we'll figure out what those are.
Maybe I'll get some of those. If not, that's okay. And then from the exporters, I'm going to be bringing home some Corydora Narcissus,
something like that.
Yeah.
Randy and I are very good at Latin, by the way.
Yeah, we're very good at Latin. We're very tired. It feels like the hotel is rocking like the boat.
Yeah.
So cut us some slack. Hopefully, again, the free podcast.
Right.
Free podcast. You get what you pay for.
And what else?
I think that's it for me.
That's it?
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Just those. Just the two, potentially three Corydoras.
We didn't keep any Epistos this time, did we?
No Epistos this time, yeah. And there were no Epistos that were really eye-catching at the wholesalers.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, folks, if you haven't picked it up so far, we collect for 5 days, and we have to work through a wholesaler who is also an exporter to get our fish out of country. And whether this is for participants that live in the East Coast or us in Seattle, somebody's got to ship us the fish. And so that's going to be the wholesaler. The benefit to that is that the wholesaler also sells fish. And so we then get to buy fish that are really cool and that we like, that we didn't get to collect.
That might have been in a different area.
Or that might have been in a completely different area. And so these, narcissist Corys, we'll just call them that. Or I think maybe they call them the long-nosed skunk Cory as well, is I think more of a common name.
That's the common name.
So we'll call them long-nosed skunk Cory. So that looked like a really awesome Cory. They had some nice chunky models there.
Yep.
So I'll be taking some of those home. But yeah, so you can also supplement what we're catching, because we're kind of already paying this fixed cost of, shipping fish, which is not a cheap proposition. And so, hey, if we're already, doing the fixed effort and the fixed cost, financially, let's go ahead and make it worth our while, and get a couple other fish. And so
basically, we got to get up to a certain kilo load. They do it by weight,
and we can get a price, a break, right?
Yeah, and then you get the price that they want to ship.
Yeah.
So, that's always fun because you even at the exporter you might see, I've never seen that fish in an aquarium store.
Like the black piranha. We saw those.
We can't have those.
We saw those last time while we were at the exporters, and again, even though we've seen them before in person, still seeing them is pretty impressive.
Right.
I mean, these are like Pacu-sized, massive dinner plates that are 4 inches thick in the body, just huge, beautiful black piranhas. What other kind of cool?
Arapimas.
Arapimas, yeah, seeing arapimas.
And that one long fish that I wanted you to stick your hand in the tank.
What do they call that? An electric eel?
Pretty much.
No, thank you. No, I will pass on that.
It was about 3 feet long.
And then, you get to see like the big novel fish, but then you also get to see a 2 foot high. Let's call it 2 foot high, but it's 6 by, let's say, 10 foot kind of pool.
Yes.
And there's 15,000 Corydora schooling
around
in this thing, and you're just kind of standing back like, wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, seeing that many Corydora in one place, swimming around.
That is one of my and that's still kind of on my bucket list if I could ever learn to
swim with Corys.
Dive, is to see that in nature underwater.
Like Cory schooling?
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't, in this location, you wouldn't see it. You'd probably have to go down into Brazil when the water's a little clearer. But I still think that would be cool. Just to see them skimming along on the sand. I just think that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we probably could have got you in that pool at the exporters.
Probably.
They were like, what is this guy doing?
The exporters, by the way,
It was so hot, it would have felt good.
Extremely hot, extremely humid.
Yeah.
So that would have been a good thing.
Yeah.
I probably would have done it too.
Yeah, I mean, you take a couple factors of you're real close to the equator, it's sunny outside, you're in a tin roof building with skylights, you've got a bunch of blowers going like crazy, and then you've got a bunch of just open tanked,
all open
water sources evaporating, humidity, heat, just it was pretty intense. And it was before noon also that we were in there, so that place gets cooking.
Yeah,
gets cooking pretty well.
One thing other that's kind of cool is I know you did, I did. 2 years ago, we visit this artist down in the art market.
Ah, yes,
right?
yes.
And we both brought something back 2 years ago. So we decided we would go visit him again, and we're bringing something back this time too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And those would be paintings, folks.
Yes.
Those would be paintings. So in the Iquitos has this really cool river walk.
Yes.
And from the river walk, it's very elevated relative to the river, at least right now.
Right now, yeah.
And even when the river's high,
even when it's high, it's
you're
still
still pretty well elevated. But down below, probably like 4 flights of stairs, you go down to this artist village where they sell tourist things like dried out piranhas with their bellies sprayed red, and all sorts of wood carvings, all
trinkets,
sorts of trinkets and tourist stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the shops though is a local artist who actually I think he originates from Colombia.
I think so too.
His name is Billy. And Billy paints, and Billy has all sorts of paintings of the local flora and fauna. He was working on a butterfly painting while we were down there. He's got paintings of a fisherman holding a tiger shovel nose, like a couple different styles as well. And this time, I wanted him to do in honor of the tefe, the red line tefe epistogrammas that I just recently got from the co-op. I wanted him to do one of those, and so sent him the picture via WhatsApp. I think we used.
I think so.
So I sent it to him via WhatsApp. I'm sorry, and in 5 days he produced it, and it looks amazing. And Dean had another discus commissioned.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. That's really kind of a cool, tradition, I guess we're starting.
And the thing, because he remembered us from 2 years before.
Yeah.
Chances are, had it not been for this global pandemic, we would have been down a year ago.
Very well.
Chances are, so, we'll get through all that though.
Yeah, but I'm excited to get this painting home, get it reframed, get it thrown on get it remounted?
It's a canvas, so it goes on a stretcher frame. Yeah.
Okay, back on the stretcher frame, and then have it mounted in a nice decorative frame, just like I have my discus one that you try to steal out of the office in the warehouse all the time.
I've got the word out in the warehouse. If Randy's not there and leaves the door unlocked, it's $100 and it's mine.
You should also try and snipe that Justin from Ocean Aquarium.
There you go.
That's a nice red neon rainbow.
Yeah,
that's a nice one. All right, Dean, my man, what do you think? 53 minutes into this beast, how'd we do?
53 minutes. Have we done a commercial yet?
I think we did do a commercial.
For the podcast?
We love your commercials. Oh, you want to do one for the podcast?
Yeah. What should we do for the podcast?
I don't know. Most people don't listen out.
Guys,
I think out this far. I don't know.
If you haven't listened this far, you don't know what you miss.
Words of wisdom.
This is volume 104.
I call them episodes, but okay.
Episode, volume, whatever. And that means there's 103 more to listen to. You can listen to a podcast while you're changing water, while you're cooking dinner, while you're driving across country. Unlike a YouTube video. You have to watch the video. The podcast you can listen to and be entertained. And you can even listen to them, I believe, now, here's technology for me.
Oh boy, what are you doing, Dean?
Can you put them on your phone, and when you're out of radio range or what do you call it, Wi-Fi range, you can have them on your phone and listen to them?
Yeah, if you have it downloaded, sure.
See, awesome.
Yeah.
See, guys, so you could do all of that, and Randy will be happy.
You know what I need to do? I need to say, I haven't done this in a while. If you listen to the Aquarius podcast, you need to go to Apple iTunes. You need to leave a review for the podcast. Give it 5 stars.
Good idea.
Give it a rating. Say, Dean sent me, Master Breeder Dean sent me 5 stars.
Yeah.
Greatest freshwater fish podcast that there possibly is out there. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Head on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe. I post a video like once every decade. So I don't know, just do that thing if you want.
I post one every time they come over to my house.
Post what, a video?
Well, they post it, but then I just post a link to it.
Yeah. Got to fire up your Dean's Fish Room YouTube channel.
Yep.
You probably have so many subscribers to that thing, and you've got no videos.
You don't know.
People are just anxiously awaiting.
I know.
They're just waiting for you to post something up.
I'm just so old.
This is true.
You know, I got a hole in the head.
He does.
In my head right now.
Dean's been whacking his head on everything he can find.
But actually, I've had a hat on every time I whack my head.
I think that actually is true in the Maikai, the small kind of go fast boat. Yes. You were wearing the GoPro hat.
I was protecting the GoPro, and I used my head in place of it.
I don't even know how that's even possible.
I just tipped my head down and bam.
Oh, okay.
It just hurts.
Okay.
It's going to be fine, though. I will recover from this. The bug bites will go away.
Yeah.
The fish will all breed for us, we hope.
Yes.
Or at least they will for me.
We need to have a salutation of like, may your fish always breed. May your eggs be fertile, and may your brine shrimp hatcher be full.
There you go.
That's the.
We'll work on that.
The sign off. But I will say though, MT Amazon Expeditions, I can't rave about coming down here enough. Like if you're going to do a collecting trip, especially if it's your first one,
they're the ones to go with.
I mean, this is by far like I don't think any collecting. You know, maybe if you go to Florida, right? You stay in the States, but like no collecting is going to be like a super, super easy thing to do. Like there's going to be challenges. It's going to be difficult to get to your location. You're going to have long days of travel. But I think Devin Graham and the, Segundo, Juan Luis, everybody on the boat are doing everything that they possibly can to make sure you have the best possible stay.
Right.
While you're in their care. And like these guys work so hard to put you on the fish that you want to. I can't rave enough. And I'll have links in this episode show notes to MT Amazon Expeditions, so you can reach out and contact Devin if you're interested in doing it. But we have an absolute blast.
Yes.
Even getting sick, even getting stung, even getting stabbed.
Whatever.
Even Dean trying to headbutt everything he possibly can, because he thinks he's like a brawler, just trying to like metal pull on my headbutt you. That all of that stuff aside, like we still have an amazing time.
Yes.
And I can't wait for my own boys to be old enough for me to bring them down here to experience this.
They would love it.
It's just awesome. So all right, we're flirting with an hour here.
Woo, we are.
All right, there we go. Coming at you live from Iquitos on a Saturday night. Dean, sign us off. Get us out of here.
Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.